Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to GCPA Live. Tonight we have a reunion from our very first high school summer production, which was Avenue Q. Now, while we have been leading in with all of our live feeds over the last week or so with Marquise Powell from Direct Black, unfortunately, something came up. He wasn't able to be with us here tonight. But we still want to mention that you can go to directblack.com. It's a directory of Black-owned businesses here in St. Louis, and we highly encourage you to find those businesses and continue to support those businesses here in St. Louis. So directblack.com right there on the screen. Go ahead and drop it into your search bar and find out what's right in your backyard. All right, so now let's go ahead and talk with our cast who is assembled here tonight from Avenue Q. So first off, let's say hello to Elena.
Hello.
Hey, Elena.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. So Elena, you played Christmas Eve in Avenue Q. What is it that you're up to right now?
Well, right now, so I am an incoming sophomore in college. I go to Washington University here in St. Louis. I am actually just taking some classes this summer. I'm going to take the semester off because of the world right now. Yeah.
All right, excellent. What are you studying, Elena?
My current plan probably will change again. Is economics and design. So I'm trying to double major.
All right, excellent. And I think it's important to point out that, like you mentioned, it may change again, and that's okay. So for all of those students who are stressing about college, it's okay to change your path if you need to.
Yes.
So follow your heart, absolutely. Well, we're glad to have you here, Elena, and we're gonna get you back.
I miss you guys. It's been a long time.
Me too.
Okay.
So next up, we have Beckett.
Hello.
Hey there, Beckett. How are you?
I'm excellent. I'm here. I'm on the screen.
You are on the screen. You are with us. You played Nikki. So
I did.
Tell us what it is that you're up to these days.
Well, I am living currently in Kirksville, Missouri, where I am attending college at Truman. In a house where I'm all on lockdown and just been in the house and sometimes going out, maybe ordering Jimmy John's, But for the most part, staying safe, staying secure, and I'm doing what this appears is like it's going to be mostly online classes for the majority of this next semester, or at least I think they were saying like maybe only a limited amount of people in a building at a time, and they'll sanitize. Truman's plan is an enigma, but we will hear more about it, and hopefully I'll be able to get even more. I'm out of my current education. I am a psychology major, and I'm in my junior year going in. Excuse me.
All right, excellent. And I absolutely follow you in regards to what is the plan. That decisions that have to be made by schools is just it's weighty, and so hats off to all the schools that are making these very difficult decisions in order to make sure that everybody stays safe. So yeah, excellent. We're glad to have you here, Beckett. Next up, we have Abby.
Hi.
Hello. How are you, Abby?
I'm great. How have you been doing?
I am doing fantastic. Thanks so much. So, Abby, you played Kate Monster in Avenue Q, and what is it that you're doing these days?
I'm taking classes at St. Louis Community College at Merrimack, and I've done a handful of shows there now. My first one actually being Avenue Q a couple of years ago.
Yeah. So did you play Kate Monster again, or did you get a different track?
No, I played the Boy Bad Idea Bear.
Okay.
It was so fun. It was so different. It was great.
Yeah. Well, we might have to hear a little bit about what that experience was like to do it a second time. So Abby, we're so happy to have you here, and it's great to see you.
I'm glad to be here.
Thanks. So next up, we have Jonathan.
How's it going? How are you, Paul?
I'm great, Jonathan. How about yourself?
I'm pretty good, pretty good. Can't complain.
Excellent, good. So Jonathan, you played Gary Coleman.
I did.
What is it that you're up to these days?
Just right now, I'm going to my senior year at Columbia College Chicago. I'm studying comedy, writing, and performance, and getting a minor in Black World Studies. So for the most part, just doing as much improv, stand-up comedy, theater around Chicago as possible.
All right, excellent. And you and I were joking a little bit beforehand, but I'm dead serious. When you write that first full length play,
Absolutely.
you let me know because I
Absolutely.
want a shot at producing it.
Of course, I will.
Excellent. We're so glad to have you here, Jonathan. Thanks for
Thank
being
you. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Next up, we've got Kelly.
Hi!
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. Oh my gosh, I miss you so much.
You. So Kelly, you played multiple roles in your track, but your featured track was Bad Idea Bear. So tell us what you're up to these days.
Not a whole lot, a lot of work. I've been working a lot lately, but I love my job, so I'm not really working. And then I'm not in school right now. I took off last semester, and then I may or may not take off this semester, take online classes. We'll see how it goes.
I totally understand that. I get it. I get it. Well, we are so excited to have you here, and it's so great to see you again, Kelly.
Yay.
And last but certainly not least, we have Jenna here with us tonight.
Hey,
Hello, Jenna. How are you?
I am doing good.
So who is your friend that you have with us here tonight?
Oh, this is Apollo. He's the cat I got after my car accident. So he's my new ESA.
All right. He looks like he's a very, very loving feline there, being willing to sit on your lap while you're talking with me.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Good. So Jenna, you too played multiple roles in your track. Your featured was the newcomer. Tell us a little bit about what you're up to these days.
So I go to Missouri State. I'm a junior. I also started doing burlesque, and I'm studying studio art and creative writing.
All right, very cool. So Jenna, again, we are so excited to have you here with us tonight. Thanks for taking some time with us. So Stephanie, let's go ahead and bring everybody out. Party line!
Wow.
So Avenue Q, for those who don't know, for those watching who don't know, Avenue Q is the equivalent of a satirical Sesame Street. And most of the characters in the story are puppets. It is important though to mention that Avenue Q and Sesame Street have nothing to do with one another. Important to put that out there. But puppetry is not a skill that everyone takes in your average acting class, and very few schools actually teach puppetry, at least at the high school or elementary school level. And so one of the elements of this production was a workshop in order to teach you the skill of puppetry. And you were able to do that. We brought in Avenue Q original Broadway cast member and GCPA friend Jennifer Barnhart to do that workshop. So tell us a little bit about what that workshop was like for you and learning this art of puppetry. Not everybody at once.
All right, I guess I'll start. It was a really interesting experience for me because I played the role of Gary Coleman, so I didn't actually get to have a puppet towards the end of the performance, but just like learning the songs with the castmates. And it also gave me like a different perspective just to understand how hard it was to actually have a puppet, because it's like you don't just have to worry about singing or acting, like you have to physically know how to use the puppet too, and the puppets actually weren't that light either. So it was like a pretty cool experience just to learn, and then it helped me like step into the shoes of my castmates more.
All right, cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if anyone was saying anything. I thought my audio was just bad. Whoops.
Oh.
Okay, what was the question?
So what was that workshop like, and what was it like learning the art of puppetry?
Jenna, got anything to
I
share?
remember.
Okay,
Oh.
I'll start.
Okay.
So, oh my god. For me, it was tough. I was definitely not good at puppetry, but it was fun. It was a fun thing. Like, I'll always remember when I was with Beckett, one of the exercises, when we took all the puppets out to like see, I guess it was like the Really Rosie cast or something. And they were like playing some game and they were like, Rockstar. And Beckett was like the one in the middle, and Beckett's like, I'm your biggest fan. And I'll just never forget that. But yeah, it was definitely a good experience and it was definitely fun. I just wish I had been a little better at it.
Well, I mean,
I remember.
Yep.
good.
I remember that we had to learn everything step by step. Like, we had to learn how to move the puppet's mouth while we were speaking. We had to learn how to like walk with the puppet and like breathe as a puppet, and then trying to put all of those elements together at once was a train wreck until we really got into it and doing it with the show, and at some point it just clicked. But it took a lot of practice and like putting everything together to make it work.
Yeah, and I remember one of those days because I got to come in and watch some of that work and see. You mentioned the train wreck, and we could just see the wheels of everybody turning and trying to put all of the gears together. And when towards the end of that workshop it clicked, that was a fun moment to watch for each one of you and the different times that it happened for you. To find that. Kelly, it looked like you were going to share.
Yeah, Abby was talking about like the hand movement thing, and I don't know about any of you guys, but I definitely like will still do that when I talk and like try and see if I can like work it out. But I really enjoyed that aspect, especially because like I still do it. What, like 4 years later? I'm not good at quick math. I don't remember how long ago it was, but yeah, I will do this a lot to like see if I can like match up my hand movement and myself talking, and that was just a really cool experience, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was 5 years ago.
Okay.
5 years ago, summer of 2015.
Wow.
Yeah, right?
Actually, 5 years ago as of today, the last show.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
that's right. Yeah, we closed 5 years ago today. How about you, Elena? Like Jonathan, you didn't actually play a puppet in the story. What was that workshop like for you?
I actually like, I don't know that I attended the entire workshop if I'm like remembering correctly. I think I might have had, but I guess like in terms of interacting with like puppets as an actor and as like a human character in the show, it was different. It was I guess indisputably different because you have to like look at the puppet's eyes, which is bizarre. I guess I don't have a ton, but I just remember it being really fun. It was definitely an adjustment. It was a challenge as an actor for sure, but a fun experience.
Yeah. Beckett, what was that workshop like for you?
Well, Paul, as you may or may not have seen, I actually had that pulled up on some old GCPA account where that specific scene of us going through. You can see Rebecca there. You can see Addison, and there's me and Jenna right there. We're doing the little bit there where it's like, oh, Rockstar, oh, like Bacon or whatever and stuff like that. And we're just reacting with the Really Rosie cast, but we had the puppets as training for that. And it was just delightful. And in the audio was we were the screaming audience. Jenna and I were, and so I yelled out, yeah. There you go. From our omnipotent overlord has given us the name of the game. But what it was we were like in the like we were audience members, and so we were like oh, and I was like, oh, I love your work, oh, and like that was something that made Jenna laugh for an obscenely long amount of time. But about the workshop, anyway, it was very great to work with Jennifer Barnhart and to get to know her and to get to know about all the puppet movement. It's so interesting, and so like you either get it immediately or you're gonna need a lot of practice. Like it's very like just strange And if you talk with your hands a lot, that probably helps. But yeah, it was really something else to be able to work with her and hear her stories from being on Broadway and working with the show too. Absolutely, really amazing to work with. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. You learn so much about. And Kelly, you mentioned, you still kind of work with, can I sync up my hand with my words? You learn so much about bringing something else to life, and all of the intricacies that it takes in order to create that story. And Elena, you had mentioned, some of the issues that I had to look at the puppet's eyes as opposed to my friend who's actually voicing the puppet. And I want to dig into that in just a minute a little bit more. But first, I want to take it to Jonathan, because you play Gary Coleman, who of course is a real life person who was fictionalized for the story. The writers, they brought in some of the real elements from Gary's life, but it was a primarily fictionalized character. So what did you know about Gary Coleman before being cast, and what was it like for you to play a fictionalized version of a real person?
Well, I think I just knew like the basic stuff. Like everybody knows, like what you talking about, Willis. Like that was the extent of mine. Like when I was younger, I used to kind of watch Different Strokes, but like it was such an old show, I didn't watch it that much. So like for me, like honestly, I just knew that he was short, and I knew that he said, "What you talking about, Willis?" And it was like interesting to play him one because he was short. So like the body type is so different, and it's like how are you gonna make people believe you're Gary Coleman when you're like super tall? So like it was just interesting to like watch more of Different Strokes before I did the show, and then just like see as much as I could find about him, and then like make a twist on it and try to make it my own in a way.
Yeah, it's and what I think is so important about what you shared there was, there's research that we have to do, right? But still making this character our own, and particularly in a place like this where it's a fictionalized, heightened version of who Gary is. Whereas if we were playing, a more serious, true to life character, it would be a different approach.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's a really great call out in regards to, still having the ability to make it your own and have fun with it. And speaking of having fun with the real life characters that were in the story, Elena, Christmas Eve, this is a character who is very much larger than life. She and Brian, her husband, have a unique relationship. So talk to us about what it was like creating Christmas Eve's character and that back and forth, because you mentioned that relationship with looking at the puppets, but because your husband was also a human being, you're going back and forth between relating to a human and then I have to relate to a puppet. And what was that process like for you?
I guess like to start off, like Christmas Eve was a big push as a role for me. It was still one of like the first shows I ever did. Like I was coming out of 8th grade, which is so crazy now in retrospect. I can't believe it was 5 years ago. But well, I don't know if you remember this, Paul, but like in creating that character and like doing it her justice, like we went through the entire script and flipped all of the L's and the R's to get the accent, because that's what we were like, okay, that's the accent. That's like the dramatized what you have to do. So, but I guess bringing her to life and like, I don't know. It was just lots of fun. It was lots of fun. I guess it was so long ago. I don't like remember it as well as I would like to. Yeah.
Well, and I remember sitting going through the script with you, with that, and you mentioned that, and that's one of the things that the writers, because this is a satirical look at life, and they wrote Christmas Eve. It's an Asian American character, but but an Asian American immigrant. And so they wanted to heighten some of the stereotypes about the accents of immigrants to America. And I remember you kind of struggling with like, but that's not how it is in reality. And of course that's so totally right. And we had to lean in, like you mentioned, like the way that it was written, leaning into the type of satire that it was in order to create that extra heightening. And for like you said, they're becoming a freshman.
I was so young to be like playing that part, and like I guess in retrospect, because I think about this show a lot, because I mean, in light of a lot of like the anti-racism conversations that have been happening, I actually think that Avenue Q is a fantastic starting point for dialogue. And like the reason I was even comfortable playing that part then, which I don't know that I would have been like able to articulate, like they do a great job of writing her part in a way that I don't think is racist, while at the same time like heightening the satire of it. Like that's what it was. And so it was just so much fun. Like, yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, you make a really great point about the way that the Christmas Eve was written. That the character herself was trying to make it in New York City. You know, we've got bills to pay. Like we've got to,
two master's degrees.
Two master's degrees. And how do I, we need to make ends meet. And what you mentioned, today in the conversations that we're having around anti-racism, particularly the story of Christmas Eve gives us an opportunity in a non-threatening environment to start to have a conversation about where are some of these stereotypes coming from and how do we get to the truth of what is there. And they've given us a little bit of both. They've given us truth as well as heightened reality in order to start a conversation. Yeah, so I want to talk now with Kelly and Jenna, because you had multiple tracks in the story. You had your feature roles, but your multiple tracks primarily dealt with puppetry and working with different puppets throughout the time. So what were some of the things that stood out to you about your track in regards to transitioning from one type of puppet to another, or just the nuance that surrounded your track in the show?
Well, like I know for the boxes that we had, so we had to make those ourselves, which I think was a really cool way of getting us into like all of the aspects that go into the show, like making your own puppet and stuff. They were also like really hard to make and we're not comfortable at all, but that's fine. We made them. It's our fault. But like, it was definitely like, I was talking earlier about that like hand movement like this, and it was harder in those boxes because we had like specific finger holes. So it was more like this, which kind of made it like different and uncomfortable. Like, it was hard transitioning, like you said, from those, but it was really fun, like getting to be in a lot of the numbers and, expressing ourselves in like different ways throughout the show.
Yeah. Jenna, can you hear us? Jenna, you're mute.
Gotta unmute.
I clicked unmute, but it keeps muting. So I know we had the purpose box puppets, and I don't even remember transitioning to that. I just remember that we had them, and most of the time I was just kind of like Beckett's left hand. So that's mostly what I remember. And then I don't know. I know at the very end I was like newcomer, but yeah. I guess I don't really remember the transitions. I feel like there was a lot of time in between them. So like I don't remember that part of the track, but I remember that like everything I did was just following Beckett. So that was just kind of like learning someone else's track and then doing exactly what they're doing was just like a really weird thing, especially because it was the first show I was ever in. So it was weird being like, oh, I'm like, first show, I'm just gonna like follow this person exactly. And then it made it way harder to be in every other show because I'm like, oh, I'm not following someone else exactly. I actually have to know what I'm doing. Cool.
For the first couple, I actually did have to go and learn her track, and then she followed me, and then I would slowly like I would leave, and then she'd be able to do her own track. But it took a while for her to get used to not following me around.
Oh, they.
Excuse me. Sorry. They.
So Jenna, you mentioned that you were Beckett's left hand. So for those who are not familiar with puppetry, that's of course called second handing. So talk to us a little bit about the technique that you learned and used, being that second hand for Beckett's character of Nikki.
Yeah. So mostly it's you have to like stay really close, which was weird because at that point I didn't know Beckett at all, and I had to have like my hand on his back like the whole show. I remember like the first few weeks I would just kind of do the like hover hand thing because I was like, I don't know this guy, I don't want to touch him. So that was like, which is such a foreign idea now to like be standing next to someone and touching them constantly. But it was just kind of like, I don't know, doing that, and then sort of there wasn't a ton because I was moving, the left hand, but that was weird because you don't want to like, it's weird to kind of resist the urge to like be your own person, because most of the time you're standing in neutral or you're doing like really small movements. So it's just kind of like knowing when to move without like overdoing what the character would be doing.
Yeah, so what you're explaining and talking about there is really kind of like walking a tightrope in regards to what do I do in order to complement this character without being the thing that is looked at the entire time, because wow, the left hand is just kind of going all over the place, but the puppet's doing something else.
Yeah.
And what was really cool to see at the end of the process was yourself and other individuals who had the second hand in the story, how seamless that became for you, and how well you worked together with one another in order to bring those characters to life. So Jenna, while you were just talking there, it made me think when you mentioned the newcomer, because the newcomer has a very specific physicality that he does at the very end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And Elena, do you remember the Friends reference that I put in the show?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you remember your response when I told you what that was going to be?
Not at all.
I very much remember.
What did I do?
So first of all, you looked at me like I had three heads because you weren't very familiar with Friends at that time.
Yes. Yeah.
And then there was a moment after that where you were like, you really think this is going to work? You really think this is going to work? Which I totally get, because those who know me and know that I'm a big Friends fan know that I like to put Friends references in little things where I can. And so the first show when you did that and the audience laughed, in the back of the house, I could see in your eyes because I was looking for it. No one else would have noticed. It was just me. I could see in your eyes. Okay, all right. We got the laugh that he wanted.
I really hope this worked.
The laughs in that show were so rewarding. Like the
Yes.
button moments for yeah. I also like that was like I got to be kind of edgy with that, and like this show was sort of like a little bit of like a coming of age thing, at least for me, and like in hindsight. So yeah, that was very fun.
So and when I thought of that, I couldn't help but come back and talk about that. So Jenna, thanks for spurring that memory. So Abby, most of the characters in this,
of course, anytime.
So Jenna, unfortunately, her connection has been fighting her all night tonight, and so there's a bit of a delay for Jenna.
There.
I apologize.
There, please.
Their signal is not having.
You're good.
But Abby, most of the characters in this story,
No, it's not.
larger than life characters,
Mhm.
right? Just huge characters. But Kate Monster and Princeton are anchors. So what was it like to ground the story while there's a tornado of giant characters swirling all around you?
To be honest, at the time I didn't even know that that was a thing that I had to do or was doing. But looking back, I think it was the role for me. Because I was 15. It was one of the first shows I'd ever been in. It was the largest role I've ever had by far at that point. And it definitely wouldn't have been possible to get, all that larger than life extraness out of me at that point in my life. So it was, I mean, like Princeton, Kate is trying to find her purpose, and she realizes that she wants to create that school, which is like the big happy ending for her by the end of the show. So she is more of a clear path throughout the show, and I think the continuity of all of it really helped, and just the fact that it was all surrounded by her love life, and she was a big romantic like that. I also connected to that. So
yeah, and you got a chance to go on and perform in Avenue Q again.
Yes.
Later on when you were in college.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about that journey for you. You talk about where you started. You're just kind of getting your figuring out who you are as an individual. In Kate Monster, and now you're playing. And what role was it that you played in college?
I was a Bad Idea Bear.
Okay.
I saw it. She was really
Kelly's role.
She was really good. I saw
There
it
were
was
a few
amazing.
things I definitely stole from Kelly, like distinct lines and how she phrased them. Like I remembered, I'm like, I gotta use that. Yeah, I mean, 5 years ago, I was glad that I was playing a puppet because it meant that I didn't have to be in my own body as much on stage, because I was just very awkward and I didn't know how to function as a human being yet. I mean, I'm still working on it, but but then a couple years ago, during my spring of my senior year of high school, I did Avenue Q at STLCC Merrimack, and then I was one of those larger than life characters. And it was so fun. I mean, we did the X-rated version, so that was definitely a change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no school edition there.
Right. And then also to be able to play off the other Bad Idea Bear, she was wonderful too. And so we just had this huge energy between us that just made the bears crazy, and it was so fun.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's fun about the arts and telling stories, particularly when we start at a younger age, and middle school or high school. That as we grow, we get an opportunity to play in those stories again,
Mm-hmm.
and we've learned so much from
Yeah.
one to the next, and it brings so much additional understanding to a story. It brings, in your case, playing a very different character, a whole new element of creativity.
Yeah. Thankfully, the puppeteering was still just in my muscle memory, so that was good. That was lucky.
Yeah, that is one thing that I found as well, is that puppeting is almost like riding a bike.
Yeah, it really sticks with you.
Yeah, and it's due to all of that work that you do up front and creating that muscle in order to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking about creating that muscle, Beckett, very early in the process, you very quickly took to puppetry, and even Jen had mentioned how naturally you picked it up. So what was your process like to not only pick up that skill, but also really run with the creation of Nikki's character?
Well, I watched a lot of Sesame Street when I was a kid, and I always liked silly voices and stuff like that, and doing voices and stuff, and like pretend, just all that such. And as you notice, because this is an audio video format, I'm talking with my hands a whole lot, and that's not something that I'm doing on purpose, but that is something that happens when you are one of those people that talks with their hands. So I actually got, it's actually pretty intuitive. I mean, there's really not that much of a, like, if you already talk like that, if you already have that sort of a, like, wow, like, you can just kind of jump into it if that's your thing. And if it's not your thing, if you've never done that before, I'm so sorry for you, because this is not the person to come to, because that was, it was very fun, and there's a lot of nuance to picking it up, like learning to make it so that your puppet is like making eye contact. That was something that Miss Barnhart helped us out with a lot, was like that is looking at the other person or the other puppet. That was difficult. Lip syncing, incredibly difficult. You'll see if in other performances I went to, Abby's show, for instance, and the lip syncing there was really great, and it really makes a difference when it's not just this when they're talking, it's this when they're talking, and it's really closer to being in sync when it's like with the mouths and everything. So it's, the skill ceiling for it is just like, if you can pick it up. I mean, watching performances of John Tartaglia or Rick Lyon or anyone else, like Stephanie D'Abruzzo, the original Kate Monster, like, you'll see that they are putting so much emotion and movement and fluidity into these characters. They're like breathing life, as you said, into these puppets. So it's really spectacular to get to watch that. But it was great having Jennifer Barnhart there to help also. It's excellent.
It's something that stood out to me, Beckett, about what you shared there was, that you grew up watching Sesame Street, and that was something that you enjoyed, like, creating voices, and you were inspired by the work that you saw in Sesame Street. And and for all the younger generations, the people who are finding out who they are and what are the things that I enjoy to do as a kid, like, you can find something to do with that when you grow up, and really make a career out of whatever it is that really inspires you. So I've guided the conversation around some very specific topics so far. I want to open it up to you to share some of your fondest memories. What are some of the things about this process that have stuck with you? They're, funny stories, little incidents. When you think about your time at Avenue Q and this process, what is it that comes to mind? Jonathan, let me go to you first.
So when I think, like, I don't think I have like a specific funny story, but just like the nature of like how close the cast was. Like as a lot of people said, like during Avenue Q, like it was one of the earlier shows that I done, so it was like a whole lot of uncertainty about it. But like I just feel like from the beginning, like as a cast, we clicked, and like there were just so many inside jokes, and it was just like we were all just like chilling because like we were just so happy to be there. So just like those are my memories, like going to the deli to get something to eat and coming back to rehearse because it was like right across the street from the church that we were at. So like just like the whole rehearsal process, it was like I felt like I always look forward to coming to it. Like it wasn't like tasking or something because I wanted to be there. So probably just that for me.
We'll have one of them on.
I just had this like thing that shot into my head because it was very traumatic, and I'm sure you all remember when Stephanie.
Oh my gosh! You just said traumatic, and I knew we were talking about traumatic.
That happened. Obviously, everybody remembers that. I also, I'm sorry, totally just had a brain fart and don't remember what I was gonna say. So somebody else say something.
I'll take it over. We were in just about the injury thing. We were rehearsing at the old church space, and Stephanie jumped up onto a chair and went through the chair and got an injury. And she didn't jump up like dangerously. She just stepped onto it, and the cushion fell out, and she the chair went injured her, and it was really scary for everyone. It was extremely unfortunate, but she has made a full recovery, and we have gone to many years of therapy, and I've forgotten it until just now. So thank you, Kelly, for reintroducing this pain to me and everyone else. You said trauma. I literally said trauma. That's all you had to do. And then I was just like, oh, I did. I called 911. I did.
But Stephanie bounced back like a champ.
I wish it was really good bonding.
Yeah. I mean, we were already really a tight-knit cast already, but that really put it through. That was literally the scene, Paul's scene in Chorus Line. The Chorus Line, Paul, like we're like, and then it's just like to everyone, like everyone's in shock, and then we were all like, kiss the day goodbye for the rest of the whole show. I mean, it was like that. It's crazy. But yeah, it was absolutely crazy.
How about you, Elena? What are some of your fondest memories of the show?
I guess similar. Like I don't have anything like distinct, but I do remember Beckett. Like you would just do voices with the puppet, and I just remember I would just sit there and I would just be like dying laughing. I don't even remember what you did, but it was so fun. Yeah, this like. My memories of this show, like I just remember being so close with the cast, like we were kind of our own like little family, and I just remember like when we had to do like clean up the set and everything, that when we had to do strike, I can't believe I just forgot that word. I just remember sitting on the ground happy to like erase all the L and R flips that I did, and like I had a note in every line. I remember sitting on the ground like crying as I was like erasing it because I was so sad that like the show was over because we didn't get to spend like every day together.
No.
So I guess that's like not fond because I was crying, but like it just goes to show like how wonderful of a cast and experience it was.
Yeah. It was ridiculously airtight from the beginning. I remember that there was a moment where at one point Jenna remarked like, oh wow, Kelly, you have a really nice house, and I was like, wait, you guys haven't hung out with like you guys like you aren't best friends already? Like, because that's how much immediate connection there was between some people in the cast. It was literally like there's like inside jokes being made immediately. The whole chawang was like a weird thing that they said all the time. Nobody knows what that means. I mean, really, like everyone was just so close in that whole show. And I mean, I knew Jenna and Sean from West Side Story.
It doesn't mean
like, but like. It was insane just how like just it was just classmates the whole time. Right?
So I think Chewang is probably going to end up somewhere in something that Jonathan writes.
Exactly. Absolutely.
As it should.
How about you, Abby? What are some of your fondest memories?
Sorry, I was trying to mute myself by clicking on the wrong thing. Well, I know on the first or second day of rehearsal, Jenna came up to me. I was very shy. I was very, like, the way I make friends is have extroverted people come up to me, at least back then. So Jenna came up to me one of the first few days of rehearsal, and I haven't been able to get rid of them since. So that's fun. No, they're one of my best friends now, so that's amazing. I gained a best friend from doing this show. I remember a couple of puppet things specifically that were funny during Princeton's nightmare of Kate, like walking down the aisle. I like opened her mouth as wide as I can, so it was literally like just an oval, a flat oval. And then another thing was when Sean and I made out at the end of the bar scene, we basically just like went like this with our puppets, if you can imagine that, just clasped together. And so that was fun. And then I remember we had a little nap time in between shows on our 2-show day. And there's got to still be a picture somewhere. I think it was Kelly and Jenna both on the couch.
I'll find one.
Yeah, but like sleeping separately, so their feet were in each other's faces.
It looks like Kelly's trying to find it.
She'll get it.
Yeah.
How about you, Jenna? What are some of your favorite memories?
No, nothing's working.
I could hear you just a second ago.
Huh? Hello? Jenna! Jenna!
I really wish that Jenna's internet was not being so fickle tonight for them, because it really would like to have them be able to participate some more.
Yeah.
Not have such a difficult time hearing us.
Yeah, I'm sending a text to Jenna.
So while Kelly is pulling up this picture, hey, we found it.
Here's one. I don't know if you can see, but like a Tetris block.
Yeah.
I think I may or may not have another. Oh yeah, and then here's me, and I think me and Jenna me and Jay on the couch. Kind of, my foot in Jenna's hand.
It's a wonderful mess. There is a public I wish I had taken more pictures account on Instagram of a bunch of photos from the entire. It's just the entire phrase. I wish I had taken more pictures. No, just like all those letters together on Instagram. There's a bunch of old photos and videos too from backstage and all that. So plug, go follow that inactive account from 5 years ago.
So, gang, it has been so great to see you all tonight and take a little walk down memory lane. It feels like forever ago, even though it was just the blink of an eye. 5 years has gone by so quickly, and yet it feels like so long ago. But when you think back to your work with Avenue Q, with GCPA, as we end all of our conversations, why is it that you believe that students should take classes and audition for shows at GCPA?
I'll go before my connection drops for the 10th time.
Go, Jenna!
So for me, the reason that like I really enjoyed GCPA and kept like coming back to it was just like the people I met. Like like in 5 years, Sean, Beckett, Abby, and Kelly have been some of the people that I've talked to like the most out of everyone I've like met in my whole life, and it's just from this show. And like it's just like it's so weird to meet people that you can like get along with so fast, and I've not had those sort of like friendships with other people. So it's a lot of it is like, even though like I didn't end up studying theater and that was like a whole thing for me, like knowing so many people through it made it where I was like, even if this isn't what I was supposed to do with my life, I'm still glad that it was like a time I had.
Yeah. Thank you, Jenna.
I don't think I've ever told you this, Paul, and this is a different show, but having to be put out of my comfort zone to play Muzzy in Thoroughly Modern Millie was like the game changer role show ever that I've been a part of.
The showstopper. I'm gonna let you finish. The show-stopping moment that Abby had in Thoroughly Modern Millie every time.
At the beginning of rehearsals, I couldn't walk like without my legs shaking. I was so nervous, and to have to like get into the role of a diva and just all that Muzzy is, like, that changed everything for me in terms of creating a character and being someone else on stage, but being comfortable in that, and so being in my own body and experiencing it as myself. It was, yeah. So just having to be put out of your comfort zone and like get to work on things that you might not put yourself up to is always an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, Abby, you have not shared that with us, and I'm really glad that you did, because we saw that too in you. Like we saw the shift in your confidence through that process, and like we do with everybody, we wouldn't put you in that place if we didn't think that we knew that you would be able to do it and do it well, and you did. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that.
I'm glad I finally told you.
Yeah.
I'll probably piggyback. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go for it, Jonathan.
Oh yeah, I'll probably piggyback a little bit off what Abby said. Like, even though like it's like one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't do more shows at GCPA. Like, I always count Avenue Q as one of my favorites. Like, for me, for the people on both ends, like my castmates, but then like for you, Lori, it's like I feel like you all like had like such great confidence in us, and we were all like so young, but like no matter what, like it was going to be an amazing show. And like you just like pushed us so hard, and like you helped us see it, and like we were so young, and like I had never been like a part of an environment like this. So like it's like even like 5 years later, I still count it as like one of my favorite roles. But then like it was just always like so positive there, like because I mean theater could be negative a lot, but like it wasn't negative, it was like positive and fun. So it's like it never left a bad taste in my mouth. So like for me, it was definitely the people on both ends that like made it an amazing experience.
Cool, thank you, Jonathan.
I definitely recommend like doing GCPA and GCPA show. Kind of what like Jonathan said, the leadership is just incredible. I mean, Paul, you're incredible. Lori's incredible. Stephanie's incredible, and everybody else like on the what do you want to like the behind the scenes is amazing. And like Abby said, you'll be pushed, and it'll really help you like take those next steps, get yourself out there, meet new friends. It's just an incredible opportunity that I wouldn't want to pass up.
Oh, thank you, Kelly.
Yeah, I think I'm the only one who hasn't gone yet. Well, I also regret like not having done shows like my junior and senior year, but like GCPA definitely changed my life. Doing theater in high school, middle school changed my life. So for that reason alone, like I would recommend that like anybody who's watching this who hasn't done a show, like audition, take some classes, do something like that. The arts are necessary and so important. And like I guess doing theater and being supported in the way that I was at GCPA, like I can't remember which one of you just said it, but like you guys believed in us, and I believed in myself that like I could play any of these parts, I could do any of these things, which like taking on like a character and performing on stage is a really brave and terrifying thing to do. Like there's some statistic that's like most people would like rather die than like have to like what is it, like give like a presentation or like do public speaking, or like they would like people would like literally like rather be tortured than have to do that. So for us to like get up there and be so vulnerable on stage is amazing, and like to be supported in that environment was like, that was life-changing for me. Like it's given me confidence in like every other aspect of my life, and it's just so fun too. Like you can't leave that out. Yeah, so
Yeah,
It's unforgettable. Absolutely.
thank you, Elena.
Yeah, I want to take what Elena was saying and claim it as my own here. It's about bravery, is what it is, because you guys have faith in us, the directors, people who cast. That's one of the big differences of this company. There's two main things. One of them is they will cast you based on what they think you can be, not based on what you've done before, what they know is safe. Like I don't think anyone could have done those roles before we were cast in those roles. Like our directors helped push us and give us, I don't know why I'm holding this. They helped push us and give us that direction and like coaching and everything else until we became the roles, we became the best like actors in ourselves and everything else. And the fact that they cast based on that is what separates GCPA from any other youth company I've worked with. And I've worked with like a few youth companies. Like I'm in the know. Like okay, like, I think the only person is like Jack Vilhard. You know, like praise be unto him. I think he's been in a few more shows than I am at GCPA at this point. But other than that, like I'm the OG. Okay, so like come on. So basically, that's what I've learned since 2013 or whenever I started. Like they cast you based on what they know you can become. Two is the people you will meet there. There's hardly ever a bad apple. Like maybe I think there's been like one bad apple I can think of in all of the shows. And every other time, it's literally the cast is so inclusive. It's unforgettable experience. It's based on growth and connection and like honesty and vulnerability. And it's everything about the youth theater experience that's wonderful and that made me stay is found here at GCPA. I made it rhyme. That's your review. We're done. Yeah. No, we're not. I'm sorry.
Well, thank you. And Beckett, I do have to corroborate your story. You are part of the OG, being a member of the cast of High School Musical, and you did play Troy. So gotta give props where props are due, definitely. So everybody, thank you so much.
Bad. Bad. Who gave her the keys to the account? Get her out of here.
She's producing. Like without her, we're not live. Like, we need her. Like
we need her. Put her back. Where do I go?
Oh my goodness. Oh, gang.
Hey, you owe me. I called 911, okay? Come on. You owe me.
Let me tell you a quick story. So the moment, the day that happened, I was at my day job and I was teaching a class and my phone blew up. And it was blowing up so much that I had to take it out of my pocket because it was getting distracting. And about an hour later, I had finished the class. I looked at my phone and I had about a dozen calls from Lisi. But she didn't leave me any message. She finally sent me a text, and I think the text said something like "call me immediately." And so I called her, and of course I'm thinking, the worst has happened, like the building's on fire, or one of you has been injured. And she said, so we've got it under control. Stephanie's in the hospital. Right after we've got it under control, I'm thinking, okay, so it wasn't as big of a deal. And then Stephanie's in the hospital. I'm like, what? Like that's not under control. And then she told me the story, and thankfully, you all were so professional in the way that you managed that, and just coming around and staying focused in what was needed in those moments after that. It was just remarkable in regards to what your character is. At such, and Elena, you mentioned, like in 8th grade, and Beckett, I think you had just finished your freshman year of high school. The responsibility that you took in those moments to help Stephanie when she was injured was just truly remarkable. And one of the reasons why we have so much fun working with you all is because you take the work just as seriously as we do, but you're also willing to have as much fun as we are too, as evident from this conversation here tonight.
I actually was just talking to Lacey about like how she frantically was calling you. Like we were recounting this day, and she was like, "I remember calling Paul like 20 times."
It was definitely a lot.
Yeah.
Shout out to Lacey real quick. We love Lacey. Everyone loves Lacey. She's excellent. Everybody loves Lacey.
We do love Lacey. But it was warranted her to call me as many times as she did. There's good reason. Gang, thank you so much for spending some time with us here to reminisce, share some stories. It is wonderful to see all of your faces, and everybody who's watching at home. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back on Tuesday night where we're going to be talking with the cast of Carrie. So we will see you again on Tuesday night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and congratulations to Christiana, who is getting married tomorrow. So shout out to Christiana. But have a great night, everybody.
Yeah.